Always so proud of them. You know, it's we had to sustain some attacks, especially earlier on. We grew into the game, had a setback, come back strong. Had a setback towards the end, come back strong. So many elements of the game that were good. You know, we're so fresh with it. It's 10 days in, 2 games, and it's never going to be perfect at this stage, especially coming against a team like Arsenal. And the boys have been fantastic, you know, in terms of taking everything on and wanting to do it and being invested into it, and you can see what it means to them at the end.
First of all, you have to give credit to Manchester United. Obviously, we give them a goal, which is unusual and painful, and then they have 2 brilliant moments when they have incredible strikes from the edge. And when we lose a game, I take the responsibility, and we have to protect the players.
We had a lot of giveaways that gave them the momentum to run, and then we know the quality they have to do that. That was probably their game plan as well, to do that, and we let them do that a bit too easily at times.
When you picked the ball up on that far side, what were you thinking?
What I think? I think I need to score.
What has Michael Carrick and the coaching team done? It seems you've got a weight lifted off your shoulders, and seem the whole team believes now.
He know the feeling for United. He know like what the fans need to feel. So he tried to show us every single moment. He tried to talk with us to understand the moments, and then say everyone is against us. So I think we feel more together, and then we come for every single game to win the games.
Yeah, but when you concede 3 goals at home, it's difficult to win, you know. And I would say the goals scored on both sides illustrated a little bit the way the 2 teams played. The games of Man United were well built up with good cohesion, and the games of Arsenal were more decided by power and deciding fighting on the corner, for example, the second goal, and the first goal as well. It was not clean play. But they gave everything, Arsenal, but they lacked a bit, like I said in the first half, patience and technical cohesion. What Man United had. I think there is something going on in this Man United team between the way they beat Man City and they beat Arsenal today. And the way they played was very convincing. And as well, when Arsenal come back to 2-2, usually it's the home team who wins the game. And they found again the resources to score the 3rd goal and to win 3-2 away from home in a top-level game. So I must congratulate Carrick. He has created something.
Really enjoyable game at the Emirates for pretty much everybody except Arsenal fans. Manchester United definitely played their part in that, and we will talk about them shortly. But it's just 2 points in the last 9 now for Arsenal. If Arsenal fans are starting to get nervous, how concerned should they be, Wayne?
Yeah, I think they should be concerned, because I think over the last few seasons, Arsenal have been in some really good positions, and the fans, they've seen this happen before. So, you know, these bad memories are coming back, and I think over the last 3 games, picking up 2 points will be a concern for not just the fans, but the players and the manager.
I actually think it will give them a jolt, a gentle reminder they're not going to have it all their own way. I don't fear for them as much as Wayne maybe, and I have to say, they came up against the Manchester United team today. Brilliant performance. Their top players all played well, although it pains me to say it. They did. They played really, really well. And sometimes if you're not quite out and you come up against a side who are banging form, you lose. And they can't win every week. They're going to have these little blips along the way, but I think they'll bounce back.
They did start really well, though, Arsenal. So what changed, Wayne?
Yeah, Arsenal started the game really well, and I think from there they maybe got a little bit complacent. So if we take a look here, this is after they went 1-0 up, and you look at Gabriel and Saliba, who've been brilliant all season, but the distance between them is way too big. It's a great pass from Bruno, but the distance too big. And then Gabriel does something which I don't think I've seen him do this season, or do many times. He steps forward trying to play offside, and Bruno goes through. He has a great opportunity, similar to his goal last week. He should shoot, he doesn't, but that was a warning time for Arsenal after they went 1-0 up. And then here you can see the frustration. And then if we look here, Kobbie Mainoo, Odegaard's with Mainoo. Man United in control of possession. Odegaard goes and presses, but no one comes with him. The back line drop off, the midfield drop off, and that allows Kobbie Mainoo to be in acres of space to do what he wants with the ball. And Mbeumo's in a good position, and Gabriel should go tight. That's what he's known for. That's what he does. He doesn't. He drops off. plays a through ball, and then Saliba doesn't know anyone's behind him, so the lack of communication is there. And then here, this is a big worry. Saliba's got the ball, there's no movement in front of him whatsoever. You see him with his arms out, he's asking for movement. Zubimendi then gives him a little bit of movement, but it's slow, it's not moving Man United around. Declan Rice comes to get on the ball. Now Declan Rice wants the ball played in the space, but Zubimendi doesn't give him it, he plays safe, he goes back to Saliba. Odegaard then should come to show for the ball and get on it, but he doesn't, he stays away from the ball. Saliba then has to go back into Zubimendi, who plays a terrible pass, big mistake, and Mbeumo gets the ball and it gets Manchester United back into the game. So I think after they went 1-0 up, they went safe, they didn't really then go and attack Manchester United and allowed them back in the game, and ultimately they've lost the game because of it.
That safety plan from Arsenal, is that sort of playing into the fact that they aren't getting these goals from open play, Danny? Because when Arsenal do well, we praise them for how effective they are from set pieces. When they don't do so well, we look at the fact that they can't really score from open play. They're as low down as 17th in terms of the percentage of goals that come from open play. Is that a worry for you, do you think?
It's becoming more of a concern. I mean, I don't think Wayne...
Even though they're second for goals scored overall in the Premier League.
Yeah, but they're so heavily reliant on set plays. I don't think Wayne or I realised they were 17th in open play, and they've spent a lot of money on players to supplement what's already a good forward line. Nobody's won the Premier League with a goal scorer who hasn't got 13 goals. I think it was Man City and Chelsea, Gundogan and Lampard in years gone by. They've got Gyökeres and Trossard with 5. Now, they might break this rule because they are so good at set plays. They might. But it must be a concern for Arteta that he's got this abundance of talent in forward areas and can't seem to get the creative element to them to score the goals. It's becoming... No goals against Forest, no goals against Liverpool. They had an own goal today in a set play. It's got to get better.
Arsenal then looking to improve as they push for that Premier League title. For Manchester United, it's just a second game under Michael Carrick, and yet we're starting to see some kind of shoots of recovery from them. And Bruno Fernandes right at the front of that, Danny.
Well, he's a phenomenal player, but he wasn't the only one. Senior players like Maguire, Casemiro and Mbeumo's led the line twice now beautifully, done really well, like really comfortable with it. Martinez is back in there, the keeper's settled in. But they look happier. Their body language is good. They all want the ball. They're all trusting each other with the ball more confidence. Bruno is brilliant wherever he plays technically. Defensively, when he plays deeper, he can be found out. But in this role, in the last 2 games, back as a 10, you can see him scanning there just before he gets the ball. He's got the pictures, his awareness of where players are. His fitness is tremendous. He's always moving to try and make space, and I like the variation in his game. He's brave with his passes when he needs to be. He'll try and make that. That's just superb play. Gets United on another attack. But he's also good at dictating. He knows when to slow it down and when to, but he's brave, and I think he's probably one of the best in Europe actually at making chances and being brave with his passing. He doesn't care about making mistakes. This little give and go is always in the right place. Okay, it's a brilliant finish, but he doesn't get that ball back if it isn't Bruno. That awareness again. And this is probably my favourite clip. It's calm, composed, keeping his team on the ball, frustrating Arsenal, probing, just dictating the tempo of it and the pace of it. And that's the experience and the know-how of a player like Bruno. And also, he's come back from an injury just recently and just hit the ground running again. Clever passes like that, under pressure. We'll flip it in behind because they're pressing us high. And then this here, most players here, in behind, be safe. You're going to get the players closing you down, you're going to lose it. The extra touch he took there into Manu, then ends up with Cunha, another brilliant finish. But I could have picked a few players today to do a piece on, but I think he deserves the plaudits because he's just that little bit above in terms of his levels and his game management. Superb.
And the other person who's getting a lot of plaudits is Michael Carrick. Players are always going to praise a new manager because they want to get on the right side of him. But Matheus Cunha absolutely glowing in his praise of Carrick. Lisandro Martinez has already posted on social media talking about the work that Carrick and his backroom team do as well. You know him. What's he been doing to get this performance out of Manchester United?
I think a level of calmness, I think, which hasn't been there, I think, for quite a while now. And I think when you look at Michael Carrick, you think he's a quiet lad, and he studied the game, he understands the game, and he's gone into that job and knowing it's a difficult job to do. But what he's done, he's brought the basics back to Manchester United, and players working hard, players getting behind the ball, they're running for each other, they're working together for each other, and they're more confident. And certainly after the last weekend's win, they're more confident. So I actually seen him on Saturday morning, and he said to me he had to stop training. The training was that good. He wanted to try and bottle it up and make sure they had that performance for the game the following day, which obviously we did. But I think he's done superb, and I'm absolutely delighted for him.
I think one part of that though must be, and you can tell me better, but he must be communicating with the players better in terms of freeing them up. Because when I talk about body language, players being more confident on the ball, that comes from your leader giving you that freedom. And maybe before it was more rigid in the hammering system. Is he a good communicator in that respect?
Unbelievable communicator. And I think for the best managers, what you need to do is make sure every player, as you said about Cunha, every player is happy and wants to play for you. And I think the last 2 weeks have really shown that. And Cunha's come off the bench twice, and he's had the impact of his assist for Mason Mount, and obviously his winning goal today. So his communication will have been spot on.
Because the question about Manchester United has always been, how good is this squad? How good are the players that Manchester United have at their disposal? And you can see the difference that those sort of intangible things like confidence, like belief, can do to a squad. And that's almost the hardest job for a manager. And you can go in and you can work on set pieces, or you can work on certain tactics or shape, but confidence seems to be the hardest one.
Yeah, confidence, but he's give belief into that group of players. I think sometimes with young coaches, and I think with Ruben Amorim when he was at the time, sometimes coaches are guilty of overcomplicating things and
too much information,
trying to give the players too much information. Yeah. I think what Michael's done, he's gone in and he's given them not so much information, but actually just reminds them the basics, what I spoke about before, of making sure you do that right. And then they have got good players in there who can win games.
Dorgu's the best example of that. The last 2 games, he's been absolutely amazing. It looks like he's just playing freedom. It's all over the place, scoring goals, making things happen, enjoying himself. That's football. It's a crazy season at the moment, and the ups and downs of teams, especially Man United, is making our job more interesting, I suppose.
The other thing that's making it more interesting is speculation about what happens at the end of the season with Manchester United. And the club were very careful not to give. Listen. Wait till you've heard the question first. The club have been very careful not to make him like the interim or the caretaker manager. They said he's got the job till the end of the season. After that, there will be a longer-term manager in place. If it carries on like that, do you think that if he continues like this, could he be the right man for the job?
Of course he can. I think, listen, Michael Carrick's got an opportunity to show everyone, to show Manchester United that he's capable of doing that job. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks, of course he has to have a consistency about his results and performances, but what we've seen is he's very capable of doing it. And if it carries on like this, there'll be a massive pressure on Manchester United board to put him in at the end of the season. I know they've been there with Ollie before, but I think this feels a little bit different. You never know.
Manchester United have beaten Arsenal by 3-2. Arsenal's first home defeat of the season, only their second defeat at all in 30-odd games, and in dramatic style, Gary. I mean, what an afternoon's football.
Yeah, I mean, you like to think, come down this morning and you're in that car for 3 or 4 hours and you're imagining what type of game you're going to get, and that is not the game I thought we were going to get. It's not the result that I thought we were going to get either. I've been here a lot in the last year or two, and they're not a team that are easy to play against. It's always a struggle. Even Liverpool, when they played well a few weeks ago, it was 0-0. So to see a game that's ended up a little bit like a basketball game at times in the second half, and it being 3-2, that really sets the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit. I think for both teams, I'm just thinking all these stewards that are around me up here with these Arsenal fans just looking up at my shoulder. No, honestly, I think we should start with Arsenal. You're not going to win a league title and have it all your own way. It's not a bed of roses. It's never going to be a procession. You're not going to basically sort of be allowed just to sort of canter over the line at will. So they shouldn't be too down tonight, but that will rock them. If you were in that dressing room now, that will be a pretty low place. And Mikel Arteta, his coaching staff, will go home tonight and there'll be some searching. Right, come on, how do we pick this up? How do we reset? How do we get this right? What do we do tomorrow? Because that won't be easy, that one. Because there'll be a lot of people watching that football match. You just got a feeling before the game today, Peter, didn't you? This was a giant game that was going to be watched just because of what Manchester United did last week, the intrigue about whether could they repeat it and could they come again. Yeah, so I think that you're just thinking about what will be happening in the Arsenal dressing room. The fans will obviously be very down tonight. But there's a long way to go and they have to reset, they have to calm themselves, but they've not got a lot of experience in that dressing room of winning Premier League titles, and when you're winning your first one, it's the toughest. For me, when I was obviously, I was helped enormously by the fact that there were experienced players that had gotten over the line. But if you think about when Manchester United won that first title, they lost it the year before to Leeds and then they won it. It's always bloody tough. And they're going to find it tough mentally. They're going to find it, you find it tough mentally, it means that you physically just feel it a little bit more as well. But they're going to have to get back on the bike. They've fallen over today. It's been a bad fall for them because they made some really big mistakes in that game. If we get to the technical part of the game, rather than thinking about the sort of the way in which the sort of world will present this tomorrow, it'll be that Arsenal are under pressure. I thought they played well in the first 20-25 minutes. They controlled the game, as you've seen Arsenal do so many times. They didn't let Manchester United out. All the game was down towards this end, but they weren't inventive enough. They didn't take enough risks, and they allowed Manchester United just to let it swing back. However, at the point where Manchester United just got a little bit of control, Arsenal scored a goal. Arsenal scored a goal at a point where Manchester United just started to play a little bit in that last 5 minutes. I think United had 70-odd% possession. But their reaction to scoring the goal was terrible. And there was a telling moment, I think, when Manchester United got their first real counter-attack, when I think Mbeumo goes through. He's got Gabriel and Saliba coming back at him, and he turns back and he plays it to Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes just snatches at it and pulls it past the near post. And Mikel Arteta, you can see him right down beneath us here, because he's a feature when you're at Arsenal, because he's always so active. He's fuming that they've allowed Manchester United to have a chance, because they've given encouragement. And then there was another chance straight after that, and then the goal came. And it was self-inflicted pain by Arsenal. It really was in that 10-15 minutes before half-time, because United at that point hadn't really got going. They didn't look dangerous. They didn't look like they got the connections going. Bruno Fernandes had given a couple of passes away, but the way in which Arsenal reacted to their own goal going in, I think gave United real encouragement. And from the very first minute of the second half, there were only one team that were actually dominant, and that was Manchester United. They were by far the better team in the second half. Michael Carrick's men went in with positivity. Mikel Arteta came out, I think, and realised that his team had gone under a little bit, and they were nervous in that last 10 minutes of the first half. Where's that nervousness come from when they've scored that goal? Where's that anxiety come from? How has it surfaced in this match? It happened against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, didn't it, here, where they had a warning sign. Liverpool just didn't have quite enough up front, if you remember. Liverpool had lots of players missing in that game and couldn't go and hurt them. But Manchester United, they've got Mbeumo, they've got Ahmad, they've got Bruno Fernandes, they've got Mount, they've got Šeško, they've got Dorgu. They've got players who are really capable of hurting you, and they've been hurt tonight, Arsenal. And then he threw the kitchen sink at it. But threw the kitchen sink at it in a way which was... He half threw the kitchen sink at it. Mourinho came on. Ben White came on. I actually wanted to see... Was Martinelli sub, by the way, or am I missing something? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was. I thought he was, because I think everything... So I was thinking Martinelli, Madueke, Eze, Gyökeres, front four. Probably leave Zubimendi on with Rice and just change the front four, but that's taking Saka off. So, but anyway, I just thought he would get those 3 or 4 on, really, and put the spontaneity and the instinctive play out on the pitch. But he still sort of went a little bit he went for it, but didn't really go for it, if you know what I mean. And I don't think the substitutions helped Arsenal that much. It didn't add impetus to the game like I thought it would. And they didn't do enough. And other than set pieces and those corners, Arsenal were really, really struggling in open play to break Manchester United down. And I think tonight it'll take a little bit to pick themselves up.
So I don't know whether you experienced this. Obviously you were in a team that was constantly chasing trophies, and lots of them, and Arsenal are chasing all 4 here, and they have been excellent week in, week out. And in a sense, there's no logic behind the anxiety because
No.
you should trust them to win the games. But I speak as a football fan, you speak as a football player. And I know if I was an Arsenal fan, I would feel that anxiety because it's been so long and it's so exciting and it's so possible. So how, as a player, do you surmount the anxiety, which is perfectly understandable amongst the supporters?
Look, I can understand it a little bit from the supporters in certain parts of games where it's not going well. But I wouldn't expect Arsenal 4 points clear with a chance to go 7 points clear, 1-0 up in the game. I mean, they didn't fall apart, let's be clear. They didn't do, but they really did cause their own issues. I mean, the goal, to be fair, sums it up. The pass from Saliba into Zubimendi, one of the sort of best controlling, composed midfield players in Europe in that position, making a mistake like that. And I wouldn't expect that level of anxiety to come into a team in January. I'd expect it to come maybe in March when you've got, say, 10, 12 games to go and people like us are really ramping the pressure up then and saying, look, it's yours to lose and things like that, which will come for this Arsenal team at a certain point. But I wouldn't